I received an email from the teenage daughter of a woman who had completed the ridiculously effective parenting training and who was implementing it with her 3 children, one of whom is this daughter, who wrote me. Now, throughout this discussion, I'll be mostly answering the daughter, but all of this is potentially very useful to all parents who can get a better idea about what's happening in their children's minds and hearts as they listen to this girl share her mind and heart, and will also learn from my responses to her. The daughter wrote and said, "You already know my mother, Karen, my mom. This is Leah, one of her daughters. I'm Leah, in other words. My mom has been doing real love with us for almost a year. And now I've read a few of the books about real love myself and watched the videos, and I have some questions about how my mom is teaching it to us. It seems like she doesn't do the loving part very well of loving and teaching. Now, to everybody, your kids watch you very closely. They feel you. If you screw up, they are right there to help you see it. Worse, they might not tell you, but they'll disregard what you say. They'll dismiss you if you're not loving while you talk about loving. They'll just blow you off in their minds. Your behavior and your words have to match, or they write you off as a hypocrite, and why should they listen? Daughter, Leah, continues. Today I brought this up with my mom, but she told me I was very wrong and that I had to email you about it. In other words, mom was saying, no, I am being loving, so you're wrong. Daughter says, so I'm writing you, me. I think I understand real love well enough, the daughter says, to see that she doesn't live what she teaches. Sometimes she doesn't. And I believe that you do understand the principles in your head. But it's quite another thing to feel the concept as a result of living it. So we actually have 2 problems happening simultaneously here. First, your mother is learning as she goes. What other way is there to do it? She understands in her head too the principles, but her ability to love as she teaches is lagging behind her ability to teach. It's much easier to deliver a lecture than to be loving. That is inevitable. It's human. Now, you're right that she doesn't love quite as well as she claims. So what? Now, I'm not dismissing that this isn't sometimes uncomfortable for you, but it's unavoidable. You're missing her efforts to learn to be loving, because that is a fact. It's very easy to see mistakes, much harder to feel love, especially when the giver of the love is just learning, like your mother. You, second problem, you are learning as you go too. So you have a long history of fighting change, resisting, being defiant, not admitting that you're wrong. And to everybody listening, I know her, so I'm not just guessing at this stuff here. And I'm also not criticizing her, which she knows. She knows me well enough to know that I'm not. So I continue speaking to the daughter. So as your mother is learning how to love you, you're fighting her and finding fault with her, which would make her job much more difficult, wouldn't it? She's just learning, kid, but her courage is amazing. Imagine what it's like for her to practice these principles while her children are fighting her every step of the way. And again, I'm not criticizing you, just saying I get the difficulty. It's difficult for you, it's difficult for her. Well, everybody's figuring this out as they go. Your pain and fear still poison the way you hear what she's trying to teach you. So yes, she does make mistakes. But you're also very sensitive to her mistakes, which is understandable considering how many times she has hurt you by not loving you in the past. This is classic PTSD. You're reacting to pain from the past, and it's an automatic reaction. And because you're extra sensitive to her mistakes, 1, you tend to exaggerate her mistakes when she makes them. And 2, sometimes you create mistakes where there weren't any. Again, not a criticism, just a description of what old pain does to you. So what's the solution? I'm not telling you what to do. I am suggesting that you might consider just surrendering and having faith in what you're being taught. Have faith in her, that she's doing her best. You don't have faith, you don't need to. It'd be stupid to have faith that she's always loving you. She's not. But you can have faith that she's doing her best and she's learning. And that's true, because I know her. Try living what she teaches, and then you'll begin to experience the natural consequence of happiness that follows. You'll like it way better. And yes, I know how difficult faith is, especially after the pain of life has beaten you down long enough that faith actually seems kind of stupid. I got it. You don't mean to do this consciously, so I'm not criticizing you. But you expect her to be perfectly loving while she teaches you and while you're fighting her. Good luck with that. It's just not going to happen. And until she's perfectly loving, you hold back and resist her, which makes it harder for her. So in the process of all this, you're actually making it harder to get the love from her that you'd really like to feel. Daughter says, I know that I'm not the right person to tell her what to do, but every time she tells me what to do, all I can think of is what she's doing wrong, and it's distracting. I know, I get it. I know your mother quite well. She's actually doing amazingly well. So are you. Especially considering the resistance, the pain you've gotten all of your life, and the resistance she's getting from you. You're both learning under very difficult circumstances. If I were to pick out a mistake that she makes most often, it's not that she's teaching a principle wrong or that she's teaching a principle that is wrong, but that she sometimes backs down from you and the other kids when you fight her. So that makes her inconsistent, and you don't like that. But it's a little ironic that you criticize her for inconsistency that you help contribute to. See? She's doing her best and you make it harder for her, and then you hate it that her best isn't better. For example, you fault her for repeating herself and talking a lot. And I get that. Nobody likes long lectures. She would never repeat herself or have to talk a lot if you simply cooperated. Try it, really. Pick a thing today, and she directs you to do it, and you say, now she'll probably fall over dead. Thank you, Mother, I'll go do that. And don't be sarcastic. Then see if she repeats herself. She won't. You're going to learn something from that. When it's easier, it's so much easier for her to teach you. And you'll discover you like it more, just cooperating as opposed to resisting and fighting her. It's such a tug of war of death when two people are competing with each other, fighting with each other. Everybody dies. The daughter says, sometimes when she's telling us about all the things we're doing wrong, she doesn't yell or anything, but her voice does start to raise and her eyebrows knit together in the middle, which makes me feel like I'm being stupid. What you're really saying is, she's human. And I'm just trying to help you understand that. I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm giving you a more effective way. To every parent, children feel your irritation. They see it in your face. They see it with muscles twitching. They hear it in your tone. You think you're hiding your irritation. Well, you're trying, but you don't. Back to my speaking to the daughter. I have a lot of experience with this, kid. For a long time, you've manipulated, lied, and distorted reality. We both know that. That's just a description. It's not a criticism. But it's keeping you from seeing anything clearly. Your mother, love, yourself. I'm just telling you about the effects of those attitudes and those behaviors. If you keep the old ones that you use to protect yourself, you'll never see life clearly. And you'll never feel her love. And you won't be happy. That's all. It's the only reason I'm telling you this. You're too distracted by your behaviors and feelings to judge anything accurately. Daughter says, lately, I've been overwhelmed more frequently, and I'm constantly stressed and anxious about the decisions I have to make throughout the day because I know that if I make the wrong one, then Mom's going to step in and give me some consequence I don't like. mom's trying to teach with consequences. And I know that the purpose of a consequence is to learn something, but I feel like if I really learned from them, if they were really a good learning tool, then I wouldn't keep making the same mistakes. So I'm wondering, why? Is it because of me and my attitude and flaws, or is it because of the way mom's teaching me? That's a really great question. It's both. There's no way that your mother's doing this perfectly. Who could? I didn't when I was learning this. I don't now. So she does confuse you. Yes, you are right. But you're also dead wrong, because you're resisting her is just as big a problem. Notice I just said right as it produces happiness, and wrong as it doesn't. Not you're wrong, you're bad. Not at all. So to everybody who's listening, I taught mom more about how to make sure she's loving when she teaches. And then I spent considerable time, which I rarely do, with the daughter, talking to her, just loving and teaching her. For reasons that don't matter, this particular girl needed a lot more love delivered in a way that wasn't too forceful. And I offered that. And also taught her. It's not like I just patted her head and said, oh, you're sweet and wonderful while you're being defiant. It's just not a problem. Now, to be fair, I had huge advantages. I've been doing this for a very long time. I can almost smell what people need, whereas mom hasn't been doing this a long time. Second, I haven't hurt her in the past, which mom has. So my love comes across as cleaner, more free of triggers. And third, I don't have to tell her how to do her chores and her homework every day. So my position was just to love and teach her without any past history. Easier for me and easier for the daughter. So I just became an additional asset. And the daughter began to get how wonderful it feels to be loved. As she did feel loved by me, for example, she could surrender more to her mother's love. It just made it more possible. It wasn't my goal to take mom's place. It was to introduce the daughter to what love can feel like. And now she likes being loved by her mother. The daughter sends me these little love letters that she writes in her head and sometimes on paper about her mother, about how much she appreciates what her mother is doing. She now admires her mother. As we talked about in a very recent video answer, she has learned to choose gratitude instead of just finding fault. So to every parent, love and teach, get help as you need to, keep loving and teaching over and over, because it works.